Welcome back, everybody. This is Eric and Barry from Moss Pawn and Gun, and today we have another Gun Gripe episode for you. Today we're going to be discussing the issue of city problems affecting the whole state.
Right.
And I'm sure you guys really understand where this is going. Barry, give us a few examples of that. How that happens.
A few examples of that would be New York City.
Right.
That little pocket of resistance up there that don't want the citizens to have any protection for themselves is kind of permeating the whole state. Now you got the same thing going on in California, and of course a lot of the Californians are moving to Colorado, and then it's spreading there. It's like a cancer. But what Eric is trying to say is the inner city problems, some of those, they spill over into the rural areas, and they want these people in the rural area who don't have any problems, and they want them to be under the same draconian rule.
That's correct. And
so,
a lot of it comes down to, these cities have their own unique cultures and their own unique problems that they experience. And what it comes down to is these people in these cities are under a lot of pressure politically, personally, and at every level of the game. I mean, these people are under constant pressure to do things about these problems. And unfortunately, the way these laws get made is these problems, as they're solved, those laws and those ordinances and all of those things that get brought down the chain, they affect everyone in their state usually.
Right.
And that's a really big problem. I mean, it's a problem with our whole political system because why should inner cities' unique problems affect Joe Blow out in the middle of nowhere with his hunting rifle? I mean, it just makes no sense. You have such a stark contrast of these people that are red-blooded, meat-eating Americans. They pay their taxes, they own their guns, they fear God, whatever the case may be. And then you have this huge inner city problem of youth violence and people not raising their kids right. And people slinging drugs on every corner and prostitution and all of these unique problems that present themselves that cause these lawmakers to go, whoa, we got to do something.
Right.
It's just a nightmare.
But we were talking on a bigger scale too. You got people like the government of California, New York, and these places. They want to expand their ideas to the whole country. We don't have the problems down here below the Mason-Dixon line that they may have in Detroit or Chicago or New York or out in California, some of the bad places out there. And I think about California like California is a beautiful state. It really is. You can go almost the whole side of the country there. You can go skiing there. You can go to Death Valley. The giant redwoods are there. But my God, the people out there, we get subscribers calling all the time. They say, Barry, I hate living here. But I have to live here because I work here. And those people are under all this draconian, constant, it's like a black cloud hanging over their head 24/7.
I agree. Well, it's bogus. And, a lot of these things, when it comes to, like you said, they're just draconian laws and this nanny state. I mean, that's what it makes me think of.
It's a nanny state.
The bottom line, people, is you need to look at how people live where they live. And you'll determine the cause of all the problems we experience are because of people where they live. I mean, that's just the basic bare bones facts of the matter. If bad people live in the cities, and then cities are going to have the problems. If those bad people that cause all the problems lived out in rural areas in the middle of nowhere, well, then those areas would have some really screwed up gun laws. People have this misconception about what gun owning is about and what gun owners do, what the pro-gun person is about. And they really have a just horrible misconception of us.
Well, so you can't let a few bad apples spoil the whole barrel.
Right.
You have to control the bad apples. And my mom used to have a saying, it's not where you live, it's how you live. People in the inner city don't have to live in that squalor.
No, they don't. And they don't have to put up, they don't have to put up with their own kind screwing up either.
No, they don't.
And that's the problem.
But like I said, it's not where you live, it's how you live. You choose to live in the squalor, you choose to live with rats, roaches, infestation, or whatever you want to do, or you can do something about it and clean it up.
Right, and we're not saying that all city people are that way. I mean, of course not. I mean, cities are a place of wide, diverse array of culture, education centers, lots of architectural and otherwise artistic endeavors that are, relied upon.
Cultural art centers. I mean, there's a lot of cities that have museums, and Atlanta has the aquarium. There's a lot of beautiful things in Atlanta, but Atlanta has its own set of problems as well.
Well, remember too that what this whole thing comes down to is that cities intrinsically, they're just larger places. Anytime you have more people in a smaller area, you're going to have more problems. I mean, that's just, statistically, that's how it works, okay? Yeah. But what we want to leave you in this video knowing is that gun owners are probably one of the most, awesome group of people you'll ever meet. If you're an anti-gun person and you're watching this video, which you're probably not, but if you are, you should know that people like us, I mean, we're not crazy, we're not extremists, we're not racist, we don't hate people. We're just average people that like to protect our families, take care of our own, watch after our neighbors, and more importantly, you walk silent and carry a big stick.
Well, it's not the fact that we are gun nuts, it's the fact that we love our freedom.
I'm a gun nut, I'm not gonna lie.
Well, I know, but you're a gun enthusiast. But the thing about it is, folks, we love our freedom, and we don't like somebody infringing on that. Right. And I'm a very open-minded person. I don't care what somebody does as long as it doesn't affect somebody else's rights.
Right. And that's the libertarian view. That is the libertarian view.
The libertarian view is that
you
view.
Treat people like you want to be treated, and anyone should be able to do whatever the hell they want to do as long as it does not infringe on someone else's rights.
Right.
Period. Now, if a certain group of people or a certain class of people or whatever infringe on those rights through their daily actions, then that is an issue.
That's an issue.
All right? It has nothing to do with hating someone. It has nothing to do with drawing party lines. It doesn't have anything to do with a two-party system, which we know is just completely bogus because both sides of the fence are screwing us at every turn.
Right.
It really just comes down to, like Barry said, people are people, and they're going to do what they're going to do where they're going to do it.
That's right.
That, you cannot argue that. It is what it is.
Well, this is food for thought, folks, and we try to be fair and honest with all this stuff, and we're not blowing smoke up nobody's hind end or nothing like that. We're expressing our views, but that's what America's about. And like I said, we appreciate our freedom. And hey, who was the lady that pled the Fifth Amendment so she wouldn't have to testify about the Benghazi?
Lois Lerner.
Yes.
Oh, that was the IRS scandal.
IRS scandal.
That's Lois Lerner.
Lois Lerner? Okay.
Well, now here we go. The Democrats want to use the Constitution only when it benefits them. They want to eliminate the Second Amendment, yet ride the Fifth Amendment.
Good point. Good point.
And that might be a video all unto itself.
It could, but what we really just want to drive home with this video is that there are a lot of just crazy laws that these cities come up with that unfortunately affect the whole state, and then even at the state level, when the states do fall to the blues, so to speak, then those draconian, crazy-ass laws get pushed on other states. So you have to stop it at every turn, on every micro level that you can. So that's really why we're making this video. I mean, write your representatives, write your senators, write your congressmen, bark up every tree, holler at every mountainside until you get answers. I mean, that's just the bottom line. You can't give up on it.
You have to be outspoken. You cannot be complacent.
You have to. And these anti-gun people, this anti-gun media system that we have set up, all of these anti-gun things that are in place to make you hate guns and hate gun owners, they only represent a very small amount of the people that actually own and use guns.
That's correct.
If you were to meet the average gun owner, in fact, we'll probably make a video where we're going to interview average gun owners. If you met the average gun owner, you would find that we are probably the most level-headed, law-abiding, intelligent, and fun to be around people you'd ever meet. Hard-working. We pay our taxes. We do the honest thing. We make an honest living. And that, to me, is the American gun owner.
That's it. That's
and
the American
these
dream,
large
folks.
cities don't represent that, in my opinion. You can't use just that large metropolis of bullshit to determine what makes everyone else tick.
Right. So we're going to close this out now, folks. And
Absolutely.
We hope y'all have a good weekend, and we'll see you next time.
Absolutely. Have a good one.
Thank you now.